Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl, the Mystic Mover, and today I want to talk about letting go, detachment energy. Yeah, that bug need to let go. On me. Okay, I want to talk about letting go because letting go, for me personally, what I've understood about my life has been one of the biggest reasons why I struggle to think positively about a certain situation. One, I was still holding on to things that used to be, that they were no longer, still trying to make sense of it. And in that process, while that may be necessary, a lot of times we do have to go back and reprocess certain things about our lives. What ends up happening is if we hold on to it for a very long time, it becomes a block and it prevents us from experiencing the new, making room for the new. Okay, so sometimes you gotta let a lot of stuff go, even if it's hard to, even if you don't want to. Letting it go, just, it's a simple decision of saying, okay, I'm gonna let that go. Even when it tries to come back to your mind or revisit into your mind, just remind yourself, hey, we're laying that down. So think about this. This is what I think about. I think about when I'm trying to, or I've come in the house. This has happened to me so many times. I'm coming into the house, or I'm leaving out the house, and my purse or my coat gets stuck on that doorknob. That that's the quickest way to piss me off. But if you think about it, in that moment, you pissed and you annoyed that something is still grabbing on and holding on to you. I don't want y'all to be the doorknob. Don't be still holding on and pulling at something that has released you already. Okay? It could be very difficult, especially when it means something to you, when it has been a part of your life for an extremely long time. And sometimes letting go can be hard because what we were, or what we're trying to let go of, has been a part of our life. That means it has become familiar to us. However, a big part of the unknown is trust. And every time that you hold on to something that has expired, you're stating that you don't trust what could come in and replace that thing. So think bigger about your situation and about your life, and know that if something is exiting the stage of my life right now, it must be for a reason. It has to be. And the only part that I can play in this is to be a participant of it and to allow that thing to leave. Just think, holding on to something, you don't have space for nothing else to come in. You can desire and want things to come in all day long, but you don't have room for it. And what happens when something is to full capacity? It starts shutting down. No more. We sold out. Like, we can't nobody else enter. And so when things start to get real stagnant and they're not moving, maybe we're holding on to something that we should be letting go of. Okay? So, soul check-in question of today that I do want you to think about and to reflect on. Boom. What is something that you are holding on to that you need to unhand? What are some things in your life that you just can't let go of? Ask yourself why. What is it about this thing that I feel like I can't trust the universe around me, God in the sky, enough to release from me, that I can still know that something better is going to replace it? So, personal story. Let me see, this is May. So about a year ago, I was in a transition in my life to a lot of different things that was taking place. And I felt really good about it at that time. Like, it's like the path was lit at that point. You know how you drive down the highway and you know the street lights on, we good, we don't have to worry, you can see the road. I could see the path so clearly of where God was leading me to and what was taking place. And so it gave me a lot of confidence to make certain decisions. And so I'll say about When I hit that final door, like, okay, this the door right here. And I'm opening up this door and I'm walking through this door with so much confidence because, hey, the path been lit for me this whole time. I've been making the right decisions. I've been seeing the return on everything I've been doing. And when I open this last door, it is as if I entered into the darkest room I could have possibly entered into, because every light that was lit for me to give me the reassurance that I was going the right way, all of that shut off. And in that moment, my mind is starting to be like, okay, hold on. Was this a trick? Was this a setup? Like, what's really going on? How is it that I could even get to this point of making it to this door, and then it feels like all access is shut off? And so now my mind is holding on to what it was in the past, holding on to every step that I made to get to this point, and overanalyzing those steps. And did I miss something? And my mind is creating these stories that, like I was saying just a minute ago, that maybe I got tricked, maybe I didn't listen, maybe I wasn't being led by God, maybe I'm like all of these different things. And here is how I feel about it now. You already made certain decisions and certain events have already happened, and you can't change them. No matter how much you wish that things were different, the reality of the situation is you cannot go back and change them. The only thing that you have in this moment is right now, today, where your feet are planted, where your heart is beating. That's all that you have. And what happens when we're consistently holding on to things that we're meant to let go of is they blind us from being able to make new decisions, to be able to even have the mental clarity to think about where I'm at, where I'm going, and to even hear where your heart is calling you to next. So I want to get into some three rules, the top 3 rules that I've learned in that process, because I'm still in my process. I'm not out of my process. I'm still in the wilderness of figuring out how did, I know there's some good that's coming out of it. But in the moment when it's really dark and you can't see, honey, you get really desperate, you get nervous, you get anxious, you start questioning yourself on so many different levels. And I just want you to know I feel you. I know, because I too experienced the same thing. So here is what I consistently reiterate to myself to let me know that where your feet are planted, something's gonna bloom from it, something's gonna grow. 1, you can't force the timing. It's a waltz, y'all. Hold on. As bad as no sir. Okay, go on now. As bad as you want to change things in your life, you're not in control of the timing. You are only in control of your words, your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions. So maybe you feel like you made a mistake, or maybe you feel like you were short-sighted by a decision that happened, could have happened yesterday, could have happened a year ago, it doesn't matter. Maybe you feel that way. However, you can't trust the timing of the redirect. Just because something appears to be delayed does not mean that it will never come. And when we think that we can focus or control the outcome of a situation, we get stuck in that control. Because what does the human mind do? It thinks that it knows the best way when there are thousands, millions of ways for something to happen. So we get stuck on what we know. And a lot of times we can only operate out of what we have experienced, what we could as much as ask and call a friend for. You don't really know what is all available to you. So stop trying to force the timing. Be okay with where you are and what you have. Keep the hope, though, that where I am, it is either changing something on the inside of me, everything around me that I cannot see, it is shifting for my very own good, and I'm just not aware of it. Like, keep yourself in a positive mindset. I don't know what's up with these bosses today. Okay. 2, change. Change unfolds on its own. That is the hardest thing to grasp when you're trying to let go. When you let go and you drop something down, you want instant results, and we want things to show that they changed immediately, but that ain't always gonna be the case. Change takes its energy, and energy always has to take form. And the biggest thing that you can allow, or the control of change, The biggest thing that you can control in your change is changing the way you speaking about it, changing the way you thinking about it, and changing the actions that you are in control of. And I started very simple with this. I didn't immediately, like right now in my life, I immediately started trying to run and do certain actions to try to change my situation. And that made it worse because I'm already doing actions and I have a certain expectation. So when that expectation is not met, especially in the timeline that I want it to be met in, it can make you feel like you stuck. When you're not stuck, you just have to understand the principle of change, okay? It's going to change in its own time. It's going to unfold in its own time. But how are you speaking to yourself? What thoughts are you engaging and entertaining while you're in the waiting room? And this is a big one. Change allows participation, not, domination. So what does that mean? To dominate something means to take full control over it. In this situation of change, you don't have control over it. All you have is the participation. Meaning, if you get a thought today that I should go and do this, I should go, it could be to the store. It could be to fill out something. It could be to send that email. It could be whatever. All I can do is participate. Follow the unction that I feel on the inside of me. I can't control it. Meaning, even if I do participate and I don't see immediately what I thought that I was going to receive, I participated. I did my part. That's your part in the co-creation. And it can be so frustrating. My camera cut off. But anyway, it could be very frustrating when you need reassurance about a process. But participating simply is in following the unctions that you get, listening to your intuition, trusting yourself enough to know that all I got to do is just make the step, and releasing the outcome from the step. That's another part of letting go. We make steps and we hold on to those steps because we want to see the results from those steps. But a lot of times when we do that too, we also still blind ourselves from being able to receive more information. And I'm guilty of that. I work on that all the time. I'm getting better as the days go by. Thank you, Lord. But when you struggle with control of your life and your process, and 9 times out of 10, you also struggle with the control of your participation. But just know that you are a co-creator and you are helping God with your path and your process. You're not in control of it, okay? And there is a lot of things that we can't see, that we don't understand, and we just have to be believing that maybe it's something that's blindsided me, that I don't have the spiritual eyes or the spiritual lens to see. So as we close with this reflection, I got some questions that I want you to ask yourself for this week. So the biggest one, I want you to ask yourself, where are you controlling your life? Where are you controlling your life? What area of life do you feel that it is very difficult for you to let your hands go because you have an expectation? 2, what about this area do you feel is not safe without you micromanaging the process? Those are your journal prompts. I want you to really sit quiet in silence, play your little music, and really have a reflection moment with yourself so that you can start just paying attention to yourself. Again, the only thing you can control is your words, your thoughts, your intentions, and actions. And with these journal prompts, that's going to help you start building a blueprint for some things about yourself that you may not be aware of, okay? So I hope that you have an amazing week. Please make sure you listen to Soul Said So podcast. Comes out every Wednesday at 11 a.m. to give you more information on your mind and your thoughts. And you know, this is a process, and every process needs a village. So see you later.